Check 1 2 1 2. You still got me?
We've gone around on this one a couple of times historically. I'll use my words, you put in your own words. Do you believe that this is a directed, purposeful universe? Or as Bob once wrote in one of his songs, that every hair is numbered like every grain of sand? Or do you believe
It's a chaotic universe, a random,
it's all random, all
meaningless.
accidental? Spin the roulette wheel, see what happens.
Well, it's really an interesting question, obviously. I've thought about this a lot, and I know most people have, but the way I look at it now, and again, now that I'm older, I don't really hold on to my beliefs as hard as I used to, or as strongly as I used to. But it feels to me like meaning is a projection of consciousness. However, it feels like consciousness is a part of the universe. So if we're conscious and we're in the universe, that means the universe is conscious, because there's not a wall separating the universe and us. We're a fluid part of the universe. So since consciousness projects meaning onto events and things, the universe has meaning. Although I don't believe that that meaning is projected from an old man sitting in the sky, as some people believe, literally. But I do believe that the old man sitting in the sky metaphor is a metaphor for consciousness and the universe being consciousness, but that consciousness is you. So that old man in the sky is you. And meaning is an echo of consciousness, and consciousness originates in the universe. So, although I do believe that there is meaning, I think that there are different levels of meaning, and I think all of those levels of meaning are tied into levels of consciousness. But I do believe that there's no separation between consciousness and the universe. So it's kind of like a paradox. I just read this book by Hofstadter, the guy who wrote Gödel, Escher, Bach.
Yep.
And he's a computer scientist. And he just wrote a book called I'm a Strange Loop. And that book asserts that consciousness is like a video camera looking at itself in the mirror. Meaning, the thing that defines the consciousness of a person relative to the consciousness of a bacteria or a plant is that it seems that humans are more self-reflective than other conscious beings. That human beings are aware of themselves being conscious. And in being aware of yourself being conscious, you're looking at yourself in the mirror, metaphorically, seeing yourself being conscious and being aware of being conscious, which is called meta-consciousness, I believe.
Meta-consciousness.
Being aware of your own consciousness.
Right.
And once a camera looks at itself in a monitor, for instance, everyone knows you get those feedback loops that create these fractal geometries that are a result of the infinity of the feedback loop. So once you get an infinite feedback loop of consciousness, or in this case of a camera's visual cortex, then you suddenly see these infinities of patterns being birthed out of this feedback cycle. And so his assertion is that life or consciousness itself is a result of this self-reflective feedback cycle, which is essentially infinite, and therefore consciousness takes on this form. But in fact, it's sort of an illusion, because actually it's just an echo of being aware that you're aware. And that creates a feedback cycle that echoes out or explodes out into a geometry of you. And I think that that explanation is pretty cool and makes sense to me, because if we're being aware of ourselves, then in a way the universe is a camera, and we're all a camera lens looking at ourselves in the monitor, and that view is creating this infinite feedback loop that's creating consciousness and your soul and whatever we are. And so, in a way, the universe manifests into beings via the window of your consciousness looking at itself. So even in Buddhist writing, I've seen these images of the big Buddha looking at little Buddha when a father looks at its child, and it's the universe looking at itself when two people are looking at each other. And in a way, that's what I believe, that we are the universe manifest as consciousness. And so, is there meaning in that? There is, because we're conscious and we project meaning onto it. And is that meaning inherent to the universe? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe there are universes without consciousness. But in this universe, the universe is conscious, and we are conscious, and so there is meaning in this universe. But maybe a universe without consciousness would be meaningless.